The word of the Lord. One day, God was looking down on earth and he saw all of the evil and sin that was going on. And he decided to send an angel down to earth to check it out. So God called on one of his very best angels and sent that angel down to earth for a while. When she returned, she told God, yes, it is bad on earth. 95% are bad and only 5% is good. Well, God thought for a moment and thought maybe he'd better send a second angel down just to be sure, get another point of view. So God called another angel and sent that one to earth for a time too. And when that angel returned, he went to God and said, yes, the earth is very bad. 95% bad, only 5% good. God said, this is not good. So God decided to send an email to the 5% that were good. God wanted to encourage them and give them a little something to be hopeful for, to help them going along. Do you know what that email said? You didn't get that one either. Bummer. You think I'm done with my jokes today, don't you? Julie can attest that I am not. So this Sunday is obviously a bit different as we make space for jokes and for laughter and for joy and a bit of merriment in our worship. This is a resurrection, pun intended, part of an old Easter custom that was begun by the Greeks in the very early centuries of Christianity. Holy Humor Sunday celebrates Jesus' resurrection on the Sunday after Easter. For centuries in Eastern Orthodox, in Catholic, even in Protestant churches, countries around the world, the entire week between Easter Sunday and the following Sunday was observed by the faithful as one that was filled with joy and laughter, with parties and with picnics. I can assure you that if you look online, our Greek Orthodox sisters and brothers in Greece are still celebrating in this very way. They continued to celebrate in this way for Jesus' resurrection. Churchgoers and pastors played practical jokes on each other. They drenched each other in water, and no, you cannot do that. They told jokes, and they sang, and they danced all around. This custom was rooted in the musings of some early church theologians like Augustine and Gregory of Nyssa and John Chrysostom, that God played a practical joke on the devil by being raised. Early theologians called it risus paschalis, or the Easter laugh. Easter, risen, risus paschalis means laugh. And along the way, this custom kind of got out of hand, it got like the Mardi Gras or something, I don't know. And it got so far out of hand with all this frivolity that Pope Clement X actually banned it in the 17th century. And this, of course, leads to the phrase, he was a party poper. I was hoping you'd laugh at that one. We Presbyterians, and I would argue most Protestant denominations, were pretty much taught that laughter and hilarity, laughter and humor were just not part of a normal worship service. That was not what God wanted. Attentive and subdued were more of the attitude that we were supposed to be taking. I am not sure about you, but I still literally, vividly recall my mother poking me in the side during church services and saying, stop fidgeting, stop doodling, stop daydreaming. In other words, please pay attention to the pastor. I'm sure I did this very same thing to my daughters. Let's face it. Can you go to that? Next one.
No, come on. There.
Next one.
Next.
I did this wrong. Sorry, folks. Just look at our spiritual ancestors. That's John Knox on the left. He kind of looks like he's wearing shoes that are 2 sizes too small. John Calvin looks like he might have just drank some prune juice. And this guy on the right is probably one of the many pictures of, if you go into a larger church where they have the pastor forefathers lining the walls. This guy doesn't look happy in any way, shape, or form. But recently, you can go back so they can read that. This one, yeah. I'll tell you what those say in a minute. But recently, this practice of a Holy Humor Sunday has been popping up in churches. And I hope you will agree that we deserve some levity, some humor, especially in everything that we've been going through, some joy. So let us laugh together, because I believe that joy is in the very heart of God. I don't know if you can read these before I tell you another joke, but this one says, "Well done, good and faithful servant." And this one says, these 2 women are or this man and woman are in the pews, and it says, "The pastor keeps referring to this morning's text, but which one?" A couple had 2 little boys. They were ages 8 and 10. And they were really, really mischievous. They were always getting into trouble. And their parents knew that if there was any mischief going along in the neighborhood, more than likely their little boys had something to do with it. Now, the boy's mother had heard that a clergyman in town had been really successful in disciplining children, so she asked if he would please speak with her boys. So the clergyman agreed, and he decided to meet with them separately, and he brought the 8-year-old in first, and the older boy was scheduled to see the clergyman in the afternoon. Now, this clergyman was a huge man with a very booming voice, and he sat the little 8-year-old down, and he said to the little boy sternly, "Where is God?" The boy's mouth dropped open, but he made no response, sitting there, wide-eyed. So the clergyman said a little bit louder, a little sterner, "Where is God?" Again, the boy made no attempt to answer. So the clergyman raised his voice even more, and he shook his finger in the boy's face, and he said, "Where is God?" The boy screamed, he took off, he fled, he went home, he slammed the door in his closet, and he hid. Till his older brother found him, and the older brother said, "What happened?" The younger boy, gasping for breath, replied, "We are in big trouble, dude. This time we are in huge trouble. God is missing, and they think we did it." You can move to the sermon slide there. I'll get to those 2. I did this totally backwards then. No, the sermon. No, one more. I'll get back to those. I'm so sorry. I don't usually do this. There, this one.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, we're going to go backwards. We're going to go back after. I am going to get to those jokes. We know, of course, that God is not missing. He is risen. But do you know that there's really only 4 instances in the Bible where the word laughter is actually mentioned? And we just read 2 of those. We read a lot about joy and happiness and blessings and rejoicing. But still, this ancient writer, Koheleth, he's called, writing in Ecclesiastes, does say, to everything there is a season, for every matter under heaven, a time to weep and a time to laugh. Indeed, I believe that our God is one of joy. We are meant to share that joy. So laughter does have its place and its time, because laughter is a creation of God, and God created everything good. Thus, laughter is good. The medical benefits of laughter are also good. Did you know that laughter relieves physical tension? It can make our muscles more relaxed for up to 45 minutes. It boosts our immune system. It increases our immune cells and infection-fighting antibodies, improving our resistance to infection. Laughter reduces endorphins, those natural feel-good chemicals in our body, protecting us and making us have an overall sense of well-being. It improves our function of blood vessels, therefore maybe helping us protect ourselves against heart attacks. Laughter burns calories. Okay, so it's not a replacement for going to the gym, but they say if you laugh for 10 to 15 minutes a day, you burn about 40 calories. It's better than nothing, right? And we all know that laughter can lighten anger's heavy, heavy load. Laughter can give us another perspective on things. And a study in Norway actually found that people with a strong sense of humor actually lived longer than those who don't laugh as much. So this sermon may be better for you than you had originally imagined. You'll get your 10 to 15 minutes of laughter in today and burn those 40 calories. I really like this story from Genesis that we read about Abraham and Sarah. 3 mysterious strangers arrive at Abraham's camp, and Abraham springs into action and provides that hospitality that is so well known in the Middle East. During the meal, conversation ensues, disclosing that Abraham and Sarah are going to be parents. Remember that Abraham is near 100 and Sarah's pushing 90, so there's a little bit of humor already going on in this story. But when Sarah hears this news as she's hiding behind the tent flap looking out, she giggles. The Hebrew word for laughter is Yitzhak, Isaac. So when her baby is born, that's what she names him. And in the epilogue to the story that we read in chapter 21, Sarah says, God has brought laughter for me. Everyone who hears will laugh with me. Imagine being so filled with laughter and joy, you simply had to acknowledge that with your child's name. This is Sarah's story, and it's the source of her joy. God is the source of her joy. So I continue with a few amusing jokes and creative spoofs that I found online. I wish that I could say that this was part of my tricks, that I did this all wrong, but I can't lie. So can you go back to the very first one? One more. I don't know if you can read this. It says, "Dear Lord, bless this meal in the car that prepared it." And this one is Moses coming down with the 10 Commandments and says, "I can't wait for this to come out in paperback." For those of you who like a glass of wine or 2, this is water, and it says Jesus And then this is Jesus here, working on a car, and says, Lazarus was a whole different deal. This engine is just dead, dead, dead. And this one is just like some clever, clever people. I could never think about these things. And it's like, catch up with Jesus. Let us praise and relish him. Because he loves me from my head to my toes. May a light shine, spread it around. And then Matthew and mustard seed faith can move mountains. And then relish, sweet Jesus. Let's exalt his name together. Just creative. So there were 3 candidates for ministry who were coming before the Committee on Ministry to be approved for ordination. One by one, they were called into the committee meeting room, and you can attest this. I can attest to this. It's a very nerve-wracking experience, not to mention then going in front of the whole Presbyterian after that. But at any rate, the first candidate appeared and was asked this question: what is the meaning of Easter? He paused and said, "It was night, and the sky was filled with angels singing to some shepherds, and a bright star appeared and..." Stop right there, the committee members said. You need to go back to seminary and learn some more. The second candidate was brought into the room and was asked the same question, and he nervously wiped his hands together and said, Easter, Easter, Easter. It's a day of love when we give gifts of flour and candies to those people that we love. He was also ordered back to seminary. The third candidate entered in and was asked, what is the meaning of Easter? And he confidently begins, well, very early in the morning, and the committee perked up, looked hopeful. They go out into the garden, he continues. Wow, the committee thinks, we finally got a live one here. We're on a roll. And he stands in the doorway, and the committee, they're sitting on the edge of their seats now with excitement. And if he sees his shadow, there's 6 more weeks of winter. If ever there is a reason for laughter and for joy, it is Jesus' resurrection, what we call Easter. God turning the tables and shouting back to us life when we were shouting death. God totally having the last word. Yes, having the last word with the devil, but also the last word regarding our initial disbelief in resurrection, and finally being convinced of our forgiveness by God, being embraced as beloved children of God. How could we not rejoice and have an honest to God fit of laughter, releasing all of that tension that we have held? And in our laughter, we finally see the goodness and the righteousness of God, who loves all of us, even in spite of ourselves. I invite you to read along, if Julie can ever get to this slide, with these loosely held confessions. Most of them were by noted theologians. We believe with the Bible that there is a time to weep and a time to laugh. We believe with Christendom that laughter has been planted in our souls. We believe with Aquinas that there is a time for playful deeds and jokes. We believe with Luther that you have as much laughter as you have faith. We believe with Calvin that we are nowhere forbidden to laugh. We believe with Wesley that a sour religion is the devil's religion. We believe with Kierkegaard that humor is intrinsic to Christianity. We believe with Dostoevsky, if a person laughs well, they are a good person. We believe with Flannery O'Connor that Christianity is a strangely cheery religion. We believe with Elton Trueblood, never trust a theologian without a sense of humor. And we believe with Charles Schulz that humor is proof that everything is going to be all right with God, nevertheless. So laugh. After all, Jesus said, the laugh shall be first, last. The laugh shall be first. And I close with a reading from Proverbs 17:22, which says, a cheerful heart is good medicine, but a downcast spirit dries up the bones. So let us be full of joy and laughter, and let us give God all thanks, glory, and praise, now and